And a lot of psychologists tell you this, psychiatrists, behavior experts will tell you this. You can look up on the internet. Sometimes we freeze where the biggest trauma is. Okay, so I'm not going to go over the age of what happened to me, but it's hard to live life as a 10-year-old when you're 50, because that 10-year-old is still making decisions. For a 50-year-old, it won't work well, right? If we're still living that nickname that people gave us when we were in elementary school, when we're in our 60s, not going to work, is it? See, human programming is an amazing thing. 0 to 7. We're programmed from 0 to 7, and we'll repeat those behaviors and those words and those habits the rest of our lives until we decide to reprogram who we are. We're running a script. I'm not going to let some events dictate the script I run the rest of my life. See, my name is Scott. I'm a pastor, I'm a coach, I'm a husband, I'm a father. I'm a member of my community. I love people, I love my wife, I love my kids, I love spending time with my wife. I love animals, kitties and cats and dogs, and I'm a completely different person than who I was as a child. Hi, I'm Scot Ferrell. Welcome to What's Your Problem? Now, today's topic is, I get inundated with this one question, and I have a lot of experience in this one question. How do I get past being sexually abused, either as an adult or as a child? And unfortunately, I've got some personal experience with this one. So take a deep breath, get relaxed. It's a heavy topic, but we got to cover it. Why? If you look at the national average, now I looked up how many people have been sexually abused just in the U.S. And all the numbers are different. I look at one website, it's 400 and some odd thousand per year. I look at another site, it's 250,000 per year. I look at another site, they didn't all jive. All right, so let me do my own counting. I looked back at every girl I ever dated prior to being married to my wife. All right, so I've dated a little, 80% of all the women that I personally dated were sexually abused in some way by father, uncle, boyfriend, something, and they were all pre-16. All right, then I look at some of the people that contact me now in the last year. I've been contacted by another 90% of women that have been sexually abused. Okay, I work with people in the adult industry. Several of the people, again, I think it was 100% on that one, of people in the adult industry that I've worked with were sexually abused. All right, so it's pretty widespread. Now, it's not as widespread in the church as the media would like you think, because people are still people, Lucifer is still Lucifer is still Lucifer, and evil still happens. All right, so let's look at me. Can I get past my sexual abuse? Well, the answer is yes. I was sexually abused by a male and female. It led to a lot of years of not knowing who I was, who I liked sexually. I was confused. It took me down a dark road of drugs, alcohol, you name it, I tried it, I did it. Life of debauchery, it helped, but why? It wasn't just that, it's the fact that I didn't really have mom and dad parental aspect. There's a lot of things going on in my life. That was just one more thing that contributed to it. And the key is, can I get past it? Well, absolutely, absolutely. But one thing you have to understand is, it's not your fault. You didn't ask for this. Especially if you're a child. Hey, could you sexually abuse me, please, so it can ruin the rest of my life and I can make really bad decisions and marry the wrong people and die early? That's not what people do. I think people that abuse children are scum of the earth, of course, and I have a lot more stronger feelings than that I'm not going to air on video. And I know what I went through personally, and I kept this a secret. I didn't tell my brother, my mom, dad, nobody. Both of my parents actually died not knowing. And I didn't actually tell my brother till about 2 years ago. Okay, we're in our, my brother's in his late 50s, I'm in my mid to late 50s. I never vocalized it, and these were things that happened as a child. Why didn't I tell him? Well, my dad's a pretty tough fellow. He would have killed everybody, and so my dad would have died in prison. I didn't want to discuss it, didn't want to talk about it. You probably understand that if you've been through this. I didn't really go seek help for it. I sought God for it, actually, and that was my counseling. Was God. The thing was, I knew that being sexually abused did not define who I was. It defined a moment in time, that is true, but it didn't define the rest of my life. I get to define, God gets to define the rest of my life. Now, people ask a lot of times, why would God let something like this happen to me? If he's an all-loving and knowing God, why would he let children be abused? Okay, good question. Get that one a lot. And I always ask people, if good exists, does evil exist? If bad exists, does good exist? If God's real, then Lucifer, Satan's real, right? So bad things happen because Lucifer, Satan, wants bad things to happen to God's creation. So things happen. Remember, we're the hands and feet of God, and people are the hands and feet of Lucifer. So you've got two competing factions here. And so Lucifer wants bad to happen on the earth, and God wants good, right? So the people, when like I was a big church goer, my family wasn't either, and the people that did this apparently weren't either. So we're all in Lucifer's camp, so to speak. So they did things that came natural to them. Now, does that make me angry sometimes? Yes. Did it hurt me? Yes. Did it cause a lot of problems? Yes. All true. But now, if I'm still hung up on that, whose fault is that? Again, and I'm a behavior guy. So every single thing that happens to a person I can trace back to, you. Yes, it happened to me, but I have to make a decision. Will I live in the past or am I looking forward? Am I going to decide who I'm in through Christ and who I am now, or am I just going to keep living in that, wallowing in that? Because I'm not real big on a lot of support groups in a lot of ways because we're still talking about it. No, I'm talking about where I'm going, what I want, what God's going to do with me, what my life projection is, what my purpose is, what my plan is, what God's got me doing, where I'm going. See where I'm going with this? See, if you live in the past, you'll always live in the past. If you can see your future, paint your future, talk your future, you're going forward. The key is, what do you want? What do you want? I wanted a life free of the pain. I wanted the life that God always wanted for me. I wanted to use my skill set to help people, which is what I do now. I'm a consultant and coach for people, behavior. You got a problem, we fix it. It's that simple. And I wanted to get past all the pain because if I thought about it, if I dwelled on it, if I see a movie or I hear a song, it hurts for a second. Of course it does. I feel the same pain over the girl who broke my heart in high school. But what I do is I go, not that guy anymore. I'm not that age anymore. I'm this age, and this is who I am now, and this is who God has me as. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. This is where I am now. If you know anything about trauma, and a lot of psychologists tell you this, psychiatrists, behavior experts will tell you this. You can look up on the internet. Sometimes we freeze where the biggest trauma is. Okay, so I'm not going to go over the age of what happened to me, but it's hard to live life as a 10-year-old when you're 50. Because that 10-year-old's still making decisions. For a 50-year-old, it won't work well, right? If we're still living that nickname that people gave us when we were in elementary school, when we're in our 60s, not going to work, is it? See, human programming is an amazing thing. 0 to 7. We're programmed from 0 to 7, and we'll repeat those behaviors and those words and those habits the rest of our lives until we decide to reprogram who we are. We're running a script. I'm not going to let some events dictate the script I run the rest of my life. See, my name is Scott. I'm a pastor. I'm a coach. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a member of my community. I love people. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love spending time with my wife. I love animals, kitties and cats and dogs, and I'm a completely different person than who I was as a child. So that's the guy I'm going to be every day when I get up. I'm not going to be the guy that was sexually abused. And one of the things that helped me get past this was I realized that God loved me. God did not do that to me. Lucifer did that to me. So you have to know where to assign who started the origin of this. It's not God, it's Lucifer. See, God loved me. He wanted me to be part of his family. He wanted me to be with his son. He wanted me to receive that resurrection power. He wanted me to go on and receive that blessing of Abraham and have a great life. See, when I realized that God loved me and Lucifer hated me and Lucifer wanted bad for my life and God wanted good, that was freeing. That allowed me to pick up the pieces and move on. And as a pastor, I get to help a lot of people do the same thing. Where do people normally go when they've got an issue in their life? Pastor. Now I tell everybody before they come see me, go see God first and come see me. What he tell you, then bring that to me. Or, as a pastor, a lot of times God will tell us. My parishioners think that I can see in their home sometimes. No, the Holy Spirit just tells me what's going on. But you got to make a decision. So if this has happened to you, and it looks like, let's on the light side, let's say 70% of the population have had this happen. Okay, so I know the numbers seem higher, but I don't always believe everything I see on rating scales. I'm going basically with what I've experienced with people. Let's say 70%. So 70% of the human population in the United States right now has received some form of sexual abuse. Now, I'm not saying harassment. Somebody didn't say, "Oh, baby, you got that nice," but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody that's penetrated you, played with one of your body parts, done something physical to you once or repeatedly. That's what I term as sexual abuse. All right, if that's happened to you, yeah, it hurts. It's very damaging. It can scar who you are. It can take away your self-concept, self-esteem. You don't understand who you are, where you're going, or what you've done. A lot of feelings are generated, and if you see a movie, sometimes it regenerates those, etc. Yes, all true. Now, you got to make a decision. Do I want this to define the rest of my life, or do I want to get past it? You always got to make a decision. Life's about decisions. You make decisions every single day. The average human has 20,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day, so you can imagine how many decisions you have to make. But I have a lot of people come to me and they're in their 40s and go, "Well, I was raped." Okay, you're in your 40s and that happened at 8. Is it time, because we're human, we can get past this, is it time to get past it, or do you want it to define you? See, I didn't want mine to define me because it doesn't have the right. Lucifer does not have the right to define who I am as an adult. Maybe he had plans for me as a child and hoped he could derail me, but it didn't work. See, I defined myself through who Christ through Jesus, who says I am. Jesus says I'm this, I'm going to be this, and that's all I'm going to take. Lucifer, you shut your mouth. See, you got to be tough. You got to, pick it up and go on. The key is, you have to unplug from the past. You have to plug into the future. If you take this with you, I always tell people, why do you keep carrying bags around with you? Why do you have that luggage of the past, the baggage of the past? When God's asked you to put it down, let him take it, and you go on. See, if God doesn't remember our sin, why should I remember what happened to me? Because as soon as I receive Christ, the past is over. And my philosophy was, if God forgot it, then I forget it. Now, have I really forgotten it? The answer is no, man. Something traumatic happens to you, you ain't forgetting that. But it's not defining my daily life. So a lot of days, I don't think about that. I'm so focused on what I'm doing now, I don't think about the past. Now, what happens when I go back to the places where it took place? Okay, people ask me that all the time. And it was in Charlotte area, that's all I'm going to say. And yeah, comes right back. Boom. And then I have to make a decision. Is Lucifer going to define what I think, or is God going to define what I think? Because I get to decide. It's not Lucifer's fault or God's fault. Now it's in my court. Nope. Yes, that happened to me. It's not going to define me. I'm not going to think about it anymore. Moving on. And now I do Bible studies all over the Charlotte area. So I go back. So what does Lucifer have an opportunity to do? I have an opportunity to relive those moments again every time I go in that vicinity. Or I can say, happened in the past, it's in the past, I'm moving forward. And not only that, Lucifer, I'm going to start helping people that also experience sexual abuse in their lives. See, I'm going to pay him back, but I'm going to pay him back differently. I'm going to pay him back by telling people that they can overcome it, then get past it, they can discover who they are in Christ, and then go on to be who God made them to be. See, if I want to pay Lucifer back, that's how I pay him back, because what's he want? He wants a lot of broken people who are hurting, who go out and hurt other people. I'm sure you've heard the media, you've looked on the internet about what are the stats of an abuser abusing kids or adults or whoever. Again, those stats are all over the board. I looked those up today and there was nothing consistent that I saw. Have I thought about that? No, man, I love people. That was not in my wheelhouse prior to it, wasn't afterwards. It was just something that selectively happened to me from a male and a female, and then I moved on. And most people would say, do you hate women? No, I love women. See, one person did that to me, not an entire gender. One person male, one person female. I'm not angry at an entire gender because of something one person did. And I tend to get people that are mad at men Well, that's great. If you want to be mad at men, you can do that. That's your prerogative. But it's going to be a lonely life if you blame all of one gender for what happened to you by one person. So as we talk about this, you got to make some decisions. What do I want out of my life? Who am I? What defines me? What do I want? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be married to? How do I want to raise my kids? See, sexual abuse affects all those things. But you have to make a decision. I'm not going to allow a past event to dictate my future. It's where the rubber meets the road. Was it easy for me? I get this question all the time. It was necessary for me. I had to decide. Am I going to still feel the pain and not have successful relationships because of it? Or am I going to allow God to heal the pain and have successful relationships? See, I had to choose. I had to choose success or failure. Because if you drag this with you, you're never going to have a successful relationship the rest of your life. That's a 100% of the time. But if you let it go and you allow God to heal you and you allow to forgive and you allow to go forward, you can have one of the best lives you've ever imagined. And you got to remember, since we went through it, we can go on and help other people get through it. No, we don't have to talk about what happened to us. We can talk about how to beat it. See, when I was a coach, I never went over how we lost. I went over how we can win. See, Lucifer wants you to still talk about it. Talk about the past. I can keep living it. I can bring up those feelings. I can keep control over you. Or you can talk about what God's done for me, how he's healed me, where I'm going, what the future holds, what my talents are, what my purpose is, and what I'm going to do with it. See, it's all about what you're focused on, where you're going, and how you're going to decide each day is going to go. See, if you do that, you can beat anything. Now, you can use this formula for anything. Sexual abuse, weight, the fact that you got a bad grade in the third grade, the fact your mom and dad didn't love you, whatever it was. If you stay focused on where you're going, what you want, and stay self-disciplined enough to go after it, you can overcome anything. All right, if you have any questions, if you want resources and tips, go by the website, wppodcast.com. Now, if you want to email me, if you got a problem that you want me to talk about, that's great. Where do you think I get all these from? People stop me and go, hey man, can you talk about this? And I say, sure. The email is problem@wyppodcast.com. Also, hit subscribe. It's right there. Hit it. Do it now. Do it now before you forget. And share. Now, if you know somebody that's going through this, and if it's true, 70, 80, 90, 100%, depends on which stat you want to listen to, are experiencing this, have experienced this, or going through it, share this with them. Okay, so remember, what's your problem becomes my problem, and together we're going to solve these problems, right? All right, so as I wrap this up, remember, your future's up to you. Don't let the past dictate it. You pick your future and then you go live it. All right, I'm Scot Ferrell. Thanks so much for being part of my day, allowing me to be part of yours, and I'll see you next time. Take care.